Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I talk about the exam 2 multiple choice part, and I also want to use this chance to go through each chapter and the main thing with you. So you should be able to get this handout either from class or from the handout from the Blackboard. You can say this one is chapter 7, and then you also have chapter 8, chapter 9. For each chapter, I leave the first page blank. My intention is that you can write down everything for you to use as your notes. So what I did is I went through our handout textbook and then I put the thing I think is important, but you can make your own notes. So do whatever you want to do with this paper. Okay, I talk about what important for me, and then we go through the multiple choices together. I will post this to the Blackboard. Make sure you do those questions first, and then you check my notes. Don't just copy and paste. There is no point to do that. We are here just to prepare for the exam. Okay, chapter 7 talking about CVP analysis. You have to know that is only for internal. We said for external, you have to use absorption costing method. So CVP is basically we separate our costs to variable cost, all of the variable cost, not just the manufacturing, also other operating, sales, commission, you know, those things, minus all variable cost, we get our contribution margin. We minus the fixed cost, we get our operating income. So I make it that first you need to know what's the assumption. This is in textbook, go back to the textbook. I'm not going to repeat everything, just to give you a quick review. And then contribution margin per unit, contribution margin ratio. I don't worry about the calculation. I want you to make sure what's the meaning of those things. What's the meaning of contribution margin? So contribution margin means the part that will contribute to cover your fixed cost and then to affect your operating income. So if the question said, hey, you do this, you do that, what will the operating income be changed, be affected up or down, you know, that is only related with the change of contribution margin. Okay, so that's the part important to understand. And then break-even point, you can use a formula, either you get a unit or you get a dollar amount. And then how about if you just want to earn some target operating income? When it's break-even point, your operating income is 0. So that is why we don't have anything extra on the numerator except for fixed cost. It's actually fixed cost plus 0. But we just skip the 0 there. If you have some dollar you want to earn, you have to add that to your numerator. And then we said we also did something affect your contribution margin, you know, break-even point. We talk about something like if you increase, decrease your selling price, increase, decrease your, you know, variable cost, increase, decrease your fixed cost, will that affect your contribution margin? Will that affect your break-even point? Several multiple choice kind of show how to use that one, so I just wait until there. And then what will we change if we change, what operating income will be affected if we change this, change that. Make sure you really know how do you get a break-even point if you have more than one product. You have this pencil, and then you also sell this, the other color one. So what's the break-even point? Margin of safety, also know the concept, know the calculation, and then I'll put some thing you want to check, prepare for the exam. Okay, so I just go through all the multiple choice. I'm sorry, I already made the answer there, so I'm not going to really do step by step, so I can save your time. Some questions are straightforward. I just go through briefly, talking about contribution margin percentage. So contribution margin is selling price, revenue, or minus all of the variable cost, right? The contribution margin percentage is contribution margin divided by your revenue. It's divided by your revenue. And then question 3, just talk about calculation. Per unit is your selling price minus the variable cost. So I'm not going to say too much. Contribution margin per ratio is contribution margin divided by your selling price. So that is your 60 divided by your selling price 150. Next one, talking about your contribution margin. The only new thing is now I kind of give you 2 variable costs. two variable costs. One is manufacturing, one is the sales cost, sales commission. So you have to minus all the variable cost, minus all variable cost. Okay, make sure you got that one. And then question 6 was this one talking about, hey, if you sell one more unit, how will the operating income change? We said that the change of operating income is the change of your contribution margin. So your contribution margin will increase by $80. That means your operating income will increase by $80. I refer to a handout. You know, those things are just put it here. I'm not going to read too much. Question 7. So this is one topic. We did this in class, and then you also, I think you took home, but you can say I made a mistake. So I want to tell you, be very careful. Sometimes you know the concept doesn't mean you will get all the points. So let's say that your beginning was that you had your revenue. We did this in class, so I'm not going to read to say too much. You have this in class, okay? Yeah, I think it's your take-home assignment. So from that, you calculate that your contribution margin percentage. This way I did is you calculate contribution margin percentage is 55%. And then now your revenue is increased to the other, you know, you're increased to 150,000. Then your contribution margin will be increased, will become the new number of 67. How did I get? Oh, sorry. So your new contribution margin is 82,500. And then your fixed cost, we said your fixed cost is always the same. Your fixed cost is always the same. So that gives you your new operating income, this one. So this is in the handout. Make sure you go back to the handout. What I try to say is, when you change your revenue, your variable cost will be changed. Your contribution margin will be changed, but your fixed cost is the same. Okay, so make sure what is changed. Some students just move the variable cost that we talk about that in class, but variable cost will be different with the new revenue. Okay, similarly for this one, you also did in class, I believe it's also take-home assignment. So your fixed cost is still the same, but your contribution margin is different. So you have a new operating income. And then next one, question 9, we talk about contribution margin percentage. What I try to test you is that always make sure your variable cost percentage plus your contribution margin percentage gives you 100%. Because we said your revenue minus your variable cost is equals contribution margin. I just make up a number. Revenue is $10, variable cost is $2. Then your contribution margin will be $8. So 2 plus 8 is your $10. 20% plus 80% is your 100% of your revenue. Variable cost is 20%. That means your contribution margin is 80%. Contribution margin is 80%. That means your variable cost is 20%. 20% of your revenue, 80% of your revenue. So your revenue is 100% of your revenue. Okay, next thing is kind of say, how do we apply that? How do we use that thing? So we said that the change of operating income is the change of your contribution margin. So our variable cost is 20% of the revenue. That gives us contribution margin is 80% of the revenue. We said revenue increased by $20. Revenue increased by $20. Contribution margin will increase by $16 because it's 80% of your revenue. Revenue increased by $20, contribution margin will increase by $16. That means your operating income will increase by $16. Okay, make sure what I just said in this question, how do we link everything together? Question 11, 12, 13, I think those are the same part. Is how will something affect a break-even point, right? So very quickly, we talk about in class with a break-even point is your fixed cost divided by contribution margin per unit. And then contribution margin is your selling price minus your variable cost. From your math part, okay, from your math part, if your numerator increases, your break-even point will increase. If your denominator increases, your break-even point will decrease. So that's the first thing you need to know. And then you just go through this, and then you need to know how do you get your contribution margin is related with the selling price and the variable cost. Okay, question 11 talking about variable expense increase. All right, so variable cost increase, variable expense, variable cost, they are the same. So if your variable cost increase, all other things are constant. Okay, you only variable cost increase. That means your contribution margin will decrease because selling price minus variable cost to give you contribution margin. And the contribution margin decrease, your denominator decrease, then your break-even point will increase. Okay, I hope you understand this logic. I also said why A, B, C, D, they are different, they are not correct. So your contribution, your break-even point will increase instead of decrease. No effect, we said it will actually go up, your break-even will increase. Contribution margin ratio will actually decrease, contribution margin decrease, contribution margin will also decrease, contribution margin will decrease percentage. So that's the right answer is D. Similarly, for this one, you said a decrease in fixed expense. So your fixed cost is decreased, your numerator is decreased, your break-even point will decrease, right? Hold on. Hey, what I chose? A decrease in your fixed expense. So that means, what did I do? Hold on. I'm sorry about this one. Sorry. Okay. All else equal, a decrease in the fixed cost. That means your numerator decrease. I think my mind was not thinking. See? I think my mind was not thinking. It's my fault. Sorry about this. So, gosh, I cannot get 100 in the exam. So I don't know. It's a decrease, but I want to put it increase. Your fixed cost decrease. So your fixed cost decrease. Your fixed cost decrease. Your numerator decrease. Your break-even point will decrease, right? So your break-even point will decrease. So it will decrease the break-even point. So you decrease the sales needed to break even. So this is the correct answer. Sorry about this. Sorry about that. So your answer is C. I made a mistake. So answer is C for this one. You decrease. So numerator decreases, then your units will decrease. My bad, apologize one more time. Okay, break even point. Okay, look at the other. A is wrong because it's opposite. Contribution margin, if you change fixed cost, it has nothing to do with the contribution margin. So your B and D, they are not affected. The break even point decrease if we said in order to break even point decrease, it's either you decrease the total fixed cost or you increase contribution margin. Okay, they said the fixed cost per unit increase. We said it has nothing to do with the fixed cost per unit. And then total, if it's a total, it's also you have to decrease to have break-even point decrease. Variable cost decrease. Variable cost decrease means contribution margin increase. Contribution margin increase, your denominator increases means break-even point decrease. Fixed cost increase, if your numerator increase, then break-even point will increase. Sales of unit decrease, selling price decrease, contribution margin will decrease, your denominator decrease, your break-even point will increase. Okay, so I hope you understand 11, 12, and 13. Those are very important. And then question 14 just to talk about assumptions. So make sure you read your textbook. It's not, so it's A. We said the inventory level will not change. So the others are all the assumptions. Okay, next one. Just talking about all of the calculation break-even point. I'm not going to say too much. So basically, it's just a fixed cost divided by contribution margin. For each unit, fixed contribution margin, each unit is just your selling price minus the variable cost. Okay, next one talking about a break-even point in dollar amount. So we said it's different ways, you know. I said if you just use a formula, is your divided by contribution margin percentage. So you have to calculate the contribution margin percentage. Remember, actually, we did a contribution margin percentage of 40% in the first in question 4. So it's the same. I'm not going to repeat too much. So your fixed cost divided by your contribution margin percentage, okay, 40%. So you got your dollar amount. Means, what's the meaning of that? One more time is when you make the sales, when your sales revenue is 60,000, you thought, oh, I sold 60,000, but your income is 0 because you covered all the variable cost and fixed cost. You are break even. Break even means you don't lose money, you don't earn money, your income is 0. Okay, now 17 for 18, they talk about similar, is that you want to earn some targeted income. So I just put it there. I'm not going to say too much. It's just a calculation. I trust you. You will get the numbers. Okay, next one, 19, 20. Those 2 questions. Make sure you really know them. I just give you example. We did that in class. You also have take-home assignment. So basically, you have to make sure you read textbook. I think the textbook actually did a very good job to help you to get the break-even point when you have more than one product. So you have 2, one is regular, one is superior. The first step is always to get your weighted average contribution margin, right? To get your weighted average contribution margin. So for 3 of the regular, you have 2 premium, and then regular contribution margin is $9, selling price minus variable cost. Premium is selling price minus variable cost, give you $10. So you total in that basket, in that total, you will get $47 as the contribution margin. You got $47 out of 5 units, right? 3 of regular, 2 of premium. So your superior, so your each weighted average has to be your total contribution margin 47 divided by total units, 5 units, give $9.4 for each. So your break-even point will be your total fixed cost divided by this weighted average. You have to sell 2, 2, 3, 4 units total, okay? You have to sell that total bucket or something, which is 2,234. In that total, for your 5, there are 3 is regular, so 60%, 3 out of 5. We said how I got this number. So you have a 3 out of 5 is regular, so your regular will be 1,340 units. Superior is 2 out of 5, so 2 out of 5, so will be 894 units. Okay. So question 20, I just made up a similar question. I'm not going to say too much. It's the same. You first get your weighted average contribution margin. You get the total bucket, like bundle the kind of that, and then 5 out of 9 is Y, 4 out of 9 is Z. So that kind of give you idea. Make sure you know that. And then question 21 also asking about actually break-even point, but instead of about asking break-even point, they told you break-even point is 100,000 units, fixed cost is $250,000, what is your contribution margin, right? So make sure whenever I give you 2 numbers, I ask you the third number, you should be able to get that. So I give you break-even point, I'll give you fixed cost, I ask you contribution margin. I'll give you fixed cost, I'll give you contribution margin, I'll ask you break-even point. I'll give you break-even point, I'll give you contribution margin, I'll ask you fixed cost. Make sure you know how do you play with those numbers. And then question 22, talking about margin of safety, we talk about, I like personally, I think it makes perfect sense. So currently your break-even point is there, how many units you have to minimum requirement. And your current sale is that, so the margin will be margin of safety. Why we call it safety? Because you can drop that many units and you are still safe. You are still safe. So break-even point is fixed cost divided by contribution margin. So you have to sell 40,000 units to be safe. Currently, you are having 90,000 units. So you can drop by 50,000 units and you are still safe. If you drop by 49,999, you are still safe. But if you drop by 50,001 unit, you are not safe. So your margin of safety is 50,000. So which is also question 32. Margin of safety is just your current or your expected sale minus your break-even point. Okay, I stop here. That is the main thing you need to know about chapter 7. I'm not saying you know this, you will get A, you will get 100. So I just give you some idea. Read your textbook one more time, you know, read your notes, your take-home assignment, your content lab, those things. Then be very careful. You say I missed the 2 parts just because I was not focused. Okay, let me know if you have any question. Thank you.